Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pandemic Proof Singer Series. Yay! I don't even know what day of the week it is at this point, but I know it's close to nighttime. And my name is Danielle Tucker. I'm a singer, I'm a vocal coach, I'm a lead singer with the Mighty Untouchables band. And I am the soon to be host of a summit that you need to save the date for. November 16th, 17th, and 18th is the Pandemic Proof Singer Summit. This is for singers down any lane to come and listen to some incredible speakers that are going to help give us some great ideas for moving forward in 2021. So be sure to save the date for that. More importantly, let me introduce my wonderful guest tonight. This is Alexis Alfaro. He's a Mexican American tenor. He's a singer of classical music, traditional Mexican folk song, and contemporary jams. You were trained and brought up in many prestigious institutions, one of which was here in San Diego, and you are now working with several groups, including San Diego Opera. So we have a lot to talk about tonight. We barely made it live before we had a full interview. So welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. So tell me, you had major stuff going on right before COVID hit. Tell me about that and what the transition into quarantine was like for you.
Right. So I'll try to be concise, but I'm not.
That's all right.
Let's just start March is when everybody got the news, and I was saying that for me, I thought, you know what, like this is gonna be fine. But even more before that, sorry to get to your question first, was what was I doing? I was singing, and it was going very well. I just finished with Lyric Opera Orange County, which is a new opera house out of there. Which, in retrospect, we think we might have all gotten COVID because the whole cast got sick at some
Oh,
point.
wow.
And as we've talked about in retrospect, all of us were a lot sicker than usual. So that was interesting. But all that to say, the next thing that I was preparing for was to understudy the role of Count Almaviva at the San Diego Opera, which I was very excited about it. Like that was a nice stepping stone for me, and a nice nod from the company that they saw me in that light. So I was very excited about that. But as we know, everything shut down,
Mm-hmm.
and I went from being like in a really exciting moment to not letting it go and saying like, you know what, I'm still gonna, like, it's still gonna happen. We're only gonna lose a month or something like that. Like by June we'll be fine. And so I just kept on training and kept on preparing. And then like yeah, like I said, about a month later, at the end of April, I was like, oh no, this is all shutting down.
Yeah.
And as far as I could read and as far as I could hear, I knew for sure it was going to be shut down until 2021. And then probably several months later, I realized like we're in a transitory state right now. It's going to be 1 to 3 years. This is what I think now.
So hard to hear those words.
But it's good. It's good. It's good because you need, like, let me put it to you this way. I've heard some very powerful, everyone on Zoom calls, this and that, and I've been in some really good meetings. And when we talk about innovation and creativity and what artists are all about, like, this is our time to shine. Like, this really shows you what you're all about. And for me, I was strengthened. I was like, I'm ready. Like this is what, they always tell you this is going to happen. Like they always say, be prepared. It's going to be tough. uh, and I'm ready. And
Mm-hmm.
so I guess, but to put it even more, to give it kind of a better light to it, one of the people that I was listening to, her name's Beth Morrison, and she's a very big producer of kind of new age opera.
Mm-hmm.
And she was on a call where she said, "We're lucky that it's 2020 and not 1918, not even 1984, because look at all this technology we have, and look at everything we get to use to create what we want to create." And for me, I definitely hibernated a lot, which means I grew a beard. I still have remnants of it. I like was in bed, just like, I'm video games, and took time to relax, but at the same time, all the projects that I needed to get done, that I said I was going to have time for, the operas that I haven't, looked through yet, but I wanted to, like, getting it all done, and feels great. And then from there, like in about June, I really started to realize, like, oh shoot, like, okay, the ball's rolling, like things are changing, creativity, innovation's happening. Are you on that wave, or are you on another one? And so a lot of the things that I've been doing prior to COVID, they started coming back, but in virtual form.
Mm-hmm.
Figuring out your home studio, figuring out how to record better. And opera definitely comes from. It's not. There is half of it is an air of, well, you know, the best way to sing is this way, and the only way to hear it is in the opera house.
Right.
Um, there's that side for sure, and the best part about that is the feeling that we're trying to do our best and give you the best, like the best that we can with our voice, the best that human voice can give.
Yeah.
But the other side of it is we have the opportunity to share this with so many more people, and we keep on being exclusive. Like, we have mountains, but we have the opportunity with all the technology we have now to share it more, and we
Mm-hmm.
should do that. And so those two sides have now, because of COVID, they're both in agreement, because
Mm-hmm.
the winning formula is like, well, how about you get 10,000 people watching your video on YouTube, and you get 3,000 people in the opera house? Like, do you want one or the other one? Which one do you want? The answer: both. You want them both.
Yeah.
So it's that's where we're at right now. That's
Yeah.
where opera's at, and there's some success and failure happening all around the world, all around the country, and
Mm-hmm.
that could be said about everything that's happening in our world right now.
Yeah. Yeah. On that
Oh,
note too, um, I think I've said this before COVID hit, but in terms of classical music and where we're at technology wise, I think that's another incredible thing, because when I was growing up, if you wanted to hear an opera, it was fed to you by your choral director, or you had to go to a library to access something like that. But now, kids growing up, listen,
absolutely.
and being introduced to classical music, they have anything they want at their fingertips. They can hear, multiple companies doing, one show in particular, or and I think that that's a big advantage now that we're at, for sure.
I mean, you're telling me. I agree with you 100%. Because I'm just imagining all the times in my life where I'm like, wow. I think of Spotify, where I always say, like, go back 20 years and tell yourself anything you want to ever listen to at any
Mm-hmm.
time that you can recall it. That'll be in the palm of your hands in like 20 years. I think you'd laugh at yourself. And
Yeah.
now, we have it. So
Yeah.
we,
Yeah.
smoke them if you got them.
That's right. Yeah, that made me think of having sitting and listening to the radio, and this is definitely dating me here. Sitting and listening to the radio and recording songs from the radio, and trying to trying to cut it off right when the DJ came back.
Cassette tapes. Oh, like Prince. Oh, I did that. I did all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the good old days.
yeah, yeah.
So, all right. So where are you seeing things coming back around? Where are you starting to see some movement within opera?
Okay. Like, for me, for San Diego, for the national, for the world, which one do you want?
Well, let's start with San Diego, because you just got to be a part of, or see something that was pretty
Right,
innovative.
right. So San Diego, we are lucky enough to have an opera house. Um, I think across the world, the nation, you could give or take. There's about 200 opera companies and about 20 major houses. San Diego, and then LA is another one. So just being in this region allows you more access to opera. That being said, we have a company that is a mid-sized company that not nobody was positioned well for COVID, but our general director was already thinking outside of the box and doing innovative productions where they weren't just in the opera house. They were out in the city. They were at different venues all over. We were sharing a lot more with our education and outreach. A lot of it realizing that, as all artists have to, like, how do you engage your community? What's the best way to connect with what does your community need? How can you help it?
Mm-hmm.
And the big one for us is we finally have realized we are a border town and we need to connect, with both sides. So all that to say, there's been a lot more hiring of Latin talent. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing to say, but it's definitely been a focus. And all that to say is, last night we had a drive-in opera. It was at the San Diego Sports Arena. You drove in, the stage was set up, you tuned your radio. The symphony was there playing, because there are symphony when we sing or when we put on an opera, which has been a great contract that's come together. So I guess what I'm talking about is, like, collaboration is happening here in San Diego. There is, we have an opera company that was ready for this, as ready as you could be, and we've started to pivot and do innovative productions. We're one of the only places. There's other opera houses that are major opera houses that have shut down their season, that have, everything has stopped for at least spring of 2021, and it's, everyone suffers because of that. And San Diego is here doing something. That's our professional opera house, but underneath that, between here and LA, we have a lot of infrastructure that's set up, with colleges, with scholarships, with donors, with competitions, just opportunity to be a part of it, I guess, if you want to, and I guess that's what's going on here. So there's silver lining all around, and we're, kind of lucky to have it, as other things are falling apart.
Yeah, yeah. What have you seen in institutional education? What are you seeing any good solutions being put into place so that music classes can come back, or are we still totally off the grid with that?
Are you okay when you ask that question? Are you saying, like, in general, or within academics areas, or just music in general, like, for the city?
Really in academics. So the kids rolling into college this year, hoping to start their music major.
It is a bad time, especially for colleges, because for two reasons. One, and in California especially,
Yeah.
I went to the University of Kansas to get my master's, and their education system and how they incorporate music, it's like it's a part of their learning, K through 12, and everybody does it. Imagine if you were into instruments or you're into choir, if every summer you got to go to SDSU for free and train with all their people and all their teachers, and you just keep that circle going. And then you knew as soon as you got hired, you would get a job in Kansas teaching K through 12 music.
Mm-hmm.
And they're embarrassed about their situation over there, because they're like, it used to be better than this, but they have that.
Mm-hmm.
In California, what's the first thing to get cut is the arts.
Right.
I grew up in San Diego, and that always happened, like, when there were budget cuts or the school board, this and that. It was like the arts classes got cut immediately. So at the university level, I know it kind of just because I understand it, but I also have heard from a couple music professors of mine, and they're saying, like, schools are shutting down, and these programs and departments are the first ones that are going to go right now, because it's not just now. These budgets for 2021 are slashed too. So that's not good. But silver lining, or the way you can see it, is for opera, I really like to impress this upon people. In the world, if you really counted as many people as you could, you might get like 2 million, which is a generous overestimate, of people that are actually opera singers, right? That sing it, and they're on the path to be an opera singer, which is not a lot. In the United States, we have 33,000, is that the right word? Yeah, 33,000 AGMA members that are part of our musicians union, which constitutes like 0.009% of our population. We have about maybe 1,200 kids coming in that from these music schools that are then trying to be in the professional level.
Mhm.
That's not a lot of people, so it's not a lot of competition, you know what I'm saying, and it's a very inclusive environment. I'm
Mhm.
on the Metropolitan Opera National Auditions Council for the San Diego district. So we just had the audition is still going on. We're doing this virtually. The Metropolitan Opera, although they have, it's not going well over there, they said this competition matters and we need to continue to support our youth. So we're going on with it. We're doing it virtually, and we're going to figure it out along the way. And
Mhm.
it's been very brave and very courageous and really cool to see them do it. But 1,200 kids auditioned, only 616 got in this time around. We had meetings for both, like large, 500-person Zoom meetings, where the winners, we told them congratulations, welcome to the family, we're moving on. But they got an HR lesson, they got like welcome to the Met lesson, very enriching.
Yeah.
The people that didn't make it, I wouldn't want to say winner or loser because it's just participants.
Yeah.
Again, everybody, anybody wants to sing opera, come and sing opera. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like we need everybody.
Mhm.
Um, and so, but they got a imagine this. Imagine if you do an audition and you sing that, even if you don't do well, somebody's there to go like, hey, we really appreciate that you came here today. Um, we want you to come back. You've got 10 years to do this. We want you to come back next year and the year after that and the year after that.
Mhm.
And if you're not feeling good right now, we have a counselor or like a sports psychologist that will talk with you and just let like failure and success are the same thing, and they're going to help you see this so you don't give up right now.
Mhm.
That happened. Like that happened last week.
Wow.
So I don't know why I'm saying all that. I'm just trying to give a scope of what opera is, what's going
Mhm.
on in San Diego, what the
Mhm.
infrastructure is we have here, what it is nationally,
Mhm.
what it is internationally. Because there's not that many people in the game, but all that are in it, it's a pretty welcoming community.
Yeah, yeah. I like that, and it's good to kind of expose that idea too, because um when I started my musical training, it was all classical throughout school, and we had that privilege of back then, that's what you were taught. You went through choir, band, and orchestra, did all those things. It was available, and it was available to me through high school. But on the coattails of that, those music programs began falling away in so many places, in mass numbers. And I always wondered, wow, I can't imagine what it would be to have lost that foundation in music growing up. And then I, of course, went down a completely different pathway with music, but then have circled back, and I joined Nats 2 or 3 years ago and realized, wow, there really is quite a lot still going on. I just wasn't, it wasn't in my, you know, sight line at the time. So I really get what you're saying there.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you mind? So tell me, okay, you are a producer, you're a singer, you're creating this summit. What I'm sorry, what is it's pandemic proof singer, great name. You're also a teacher, and now you're saying you're getting back into Nats. So kind of give me an understanding of everything that you're doing, and where teaching fits in with that.
Well, I think that that's another silver lining of COVID, because prior to that, my work with my band, the Mighty Untouchables, we were just incredibly busy. And so teaching was more of a side situation for me. And I had, limited availability to do anything like that. But as soon as this hit, of course, all of the gigs went away. And I opened up my books, and um, I just kind of like we talked before we went live. I have a need inside of me to create and be involved, in a lot of things. I just can't imagine not having, anywhere to send that energy, you know? So I thrive on it. It's not an energy reduction for me. It's not taking energy from me. It's like multiplying it, I think. So I make it happen one way or another. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so and I'm
So are you
homeschooling my
saying that
kids too.
you, oh, geez. Hey, man. I caught a little bit of, what was that? The
Uh-oh. We're getting a sketchy signal. Come back to us, Alexis. There he is.
I'm
And
here.
you're back.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So you were saying you
I
caught
was asking you, the singer from Cardiff, Wales, he was saying how one of the ideas that they had was they were always going to go to Europe, and they had that in their plan, and this was the best time to do it. And one of the things they got was schools going on over there. And I was like, oh wow, it's just every artist has a different path, I guess is what I'm saying.
yeah.
And it was really interesting to hear how that came to fruition for him. Just like how you're saying the vocal teaching has come, full circle for you,
Mm-hmm.
especially right now.
Yeah.
Are
Yeah.
you enjoying it? What do you like? What do you like to teach? Like, what is your key to helping students be the best singers they can be?
I think I've worked with all skill level, all age level, and I think I enjoy different aspects of a lot of it. I tend to not work with kids so much anymore, just because I think kids really need a very special person that's really tuned into that type of energy and understanding, and I'm just not that person. I just take it way too seriously. But I love working with singers who are really driven and really really hungry for it. I love singers who are always pushing the boundaries of their vocal range, and singers that really want to um, understand their voice and kind of peel back the layers of everything that creates their sound, so that I'm always really trying to push for knowing your instrument, so that you can always predict what it's going to do, and what situations might be challenging for you. Like I can't remember who I was talking to the other day, but I think it was just a consultation or something. And we were talking about a singer being in a situation where they're on a stage and they have an amazing monitor situation. And you can tell, my voice is going to be strong. I'm going to have a ton of endurance. I can do a, 2-hour set if I wanted to. But then there are other situations that you step into where you can't hardly hear anything. And you can sometimes, if you know your voice enough, you can predict what is going to happen, 2, 3 songs in without being able to hear yourself. So, yeah, I think it's just the singers that really, really want to dive in and understand what they're doing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. And of course I'm really more in the like pop vein of things, and um country rock. I have been away from the classical world for so long and not immersed in that, so I don't even
But
step into
it's
that.
I always think of it like sports where we're all athletes. It's just I play baseball, you play soccer,
Yeah.
they play tennis, and that's what genres are. It's just the type of training that you do to create the sound that you're supposed to, that you
Yeah.
want to, that you imagine.
Mhm. Freezing. Come back. There you are. And you're back. Have you been teaching virtually? Have you been doing any Zoom lessons or anything?
I don't. I enjoy teaching, but I don't like keep an active studio at all.
Mm-hmm.
I have been. I've been coaching in person with Dr. Nick Ravelis, a
Mm-hmm.
treasure of San Diego, one of the foremost education outreach directors in the nation when it comes to opera. But and also a great pianist. So I've been coaching with him, and that's been going very well. And then uh, the current
Freezing
do
again.
virtual lessons, and they work out like surprisingly.
Yeah, they do. They do. Unless you're
So
working with like a soprano or something.
yeah, I don't know. And you know, we a lot of times the conversations him and I have are more. It's concepts. It's not a whole bunch of singing. It's more like, okay, let's review the language. You know, your French is off, so we have to go. We have to do the fundamental work.
Mm-hmm.
uh, and you know he knows what he's doing. And then we sing passages, and he just kind of tells me, you know, you're going in this direction, and I need you going in this direction. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
at this point able to make those corrections well enough where I can go, okay, I see what you're doing. I'll go take that to the studio and make sure that I next time we meet that'll be you know, cleaned up,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll go in that direction. And every voice teacher I've had along the way, I don't know, I think that answers your question, but I'm going in a tangent now. It's,
Okay.
you know, like, I don't do video lessons. The answer was no. I do take and I do meet still live, but you know, very limited. And then there's no rehearsals or anything. But that kind of answers your question,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Would be every voice teacher I've had along the way, you know, has showed me something that I needed to learn at that moment, and I wasn't ready to learn anything else. And sometimes, a lot of times, I'll think back to like, that's what they meant. Like now I get it. You know, that the whole time they were telling me, and I might have even never out loud, but in my head being like, I don't know, I don't think they know what they're talking about. And then later on, I'm like, oh, you know, like I didn't. Now I get it. So I guess we're still able to do that. You know, another good thing about being 2020,
Yeah.
not 1918.
Definitely. I'm glad we're not in 1918. um, so tell me what is next for you? I mean, we're looking into 2021 and it's kind of like meh, you know, what's going to happen here?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
what are you thinking of doing?
I mean, we're moving to digital. Like that's what's happening right now.
Okay.
And so on a national level, again, a contentious thing in opera, where on one hand they say like, come to the opera house only. That's the only way you can hear this in its best form. Recording, you might not, you know, you're like, you can manipulate it, this, that, and the other thing. You're not there.
Freezing. Come back, come back.
Good for clients where we're traveling around. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Am I there?
You're there.
Sorry
Yes,
about that.
you're back.
As we've all lost our contracts, we've all come together. So
Okay.
lucky break. Uh, I had been helping to run a concert series called Opera Wednesdays, and we did once a month. We did concerts where opera singers from all over Southern California come and perform,
Hmm.
and you know, it's a great little situation. We were able to take that virtual because we got like some donors and some sponsorships. So we've done one concert, and we're releasing two, one in November, one in December, coming up. And that was, you know, kind of a godsend and a welcome, and not a welcome, but kind of an introduction into, okay, this is how you do things virtually, this is how you bring it together, you know, this is how you reach people. And it's all trial with some errors, and then you just make corrections and try to do better.
Hmm.
So that I'm doing some of my own personal recordings under that, you know, format. I'm doing a collaboration with a buddy where I love 80s pop ballads. Like I love 80s pop. Like, I'll, you know, like sing it to the world. And I do. I sing them all the time. And so I just like to do it in my classical voice with a guy I know, Adam Johnson, Adam Eros. You know, I think he's pretty well known around Southern California, but he he can play anything. And you know, he's a composer, he's a producer, he's a this and that. So I'll be like, look, but don't make it 80s. Make it like an art song, and that we're presenting this like really seriously, and these words are meaningful.
I
We're
love
doing
that.
it.
I love
I
that.
love it too. Like you don't even know. I love it too. So, I'm like, I'm in a tux. You can be the funny man if you want, but I'm taking this as seriously as possible, and I'm trying to deliver this like as meaningful as possible because I love this song, and it's great. So we do that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
He has a
What are
home
some of the
studio.
songs you've covered?
Uh, 1986 Karate Kid. It's like, believe you me, it's awesome. Um, I do some like Luis Miguel Spanish ballads. What's one of the songs that are legit?
I keep losing you. Come back, come back.
In their day.
You're back. And you're not. Hmm. All right. Well, we'll give you a minute to come back to us. You're watching the Pandemic Proof Singer series, and I am talking with Alexis Alfaro tonight. He's a classical vocalist, and he has so many good things to say. So I do hope that
Bring
he
it back because
increases. There you are.
oh,
You're back.
oh, where did I cut off? Where did I cut off?
You were telling me about the songs that you were covering.
Oh, so it was like Peter Cetera, Glory of Love from
Mhm.
1986, Luis Miguel ballads. I do a lot of like mariachi songs where I put them in a more classical voice, just on, with a guitar or something. So I just like to make everything have that classical feel to it.
Yeah.
Uh, and I guess to tie it all together is like the songs that were number one 80s ballads that are now 40 years old. That's an art song. That is now, and will it survive for 500 years like many, a lot of opera pieces have? I don't know, but they were all like hits at one point and they all had meaning. And as an artist, I want to like keep them going.
Hmm.
And selfishly, I love singing them.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a winning combination. So have you recorded these? Where can they be listened to somewhere?
Adam and I are in rehearsal right now, and we will record probably, I think, in 2 weeks.
Hmm.
And we're just trying to figure out because he got into it. He's like, okay, storyboard, and I'm like, storyboard? What's a storyboard? And he's like, we're gonna do a music video. I got a green screen, and it's like it's all great. So I don't know what we're gonna do, but step one, we got to get the song down. We got to get the music right. We got to make it sound wonderful. Uh,
Hmm.
and so we're still about a week or two away from that, I guess.
Hmm. And
Uh,
what's the instrumentation that you're using?
he's on the piano,
Just
but that's
piano.
what I'm saying. He is a trained classical pianist, and he can make, first of all, Peter Cetera and David Foster, great composers.
Yeah.
Like they really have some beautiful harmonies. Adam can bring all, and so it sounds like an orchestra on his grand, and that's
Hmm.
the point. And that's the relationship. Like you only need two instruments when the relationship is correct.
Yeah.
Ultimately, if we could all just sing a cappella, like that, then no need for anything else.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I would love to hear that. Um, so you go kind of walking back to saying, everything's going digital, and you've seen some of the concerts, virtual concerts coming around. In an opera setting, what does that production look like? How does that process work? Is everybody individually recording from home, or are they going to studios or coming together?
The answer is all of the
All
above.
of the above. Yeah.
So I'll give you two examples.
Hmm.
The Met HD about 10 years ago, the Metropolitan Opera, which is considered one of the best opera houses in the world, based out of New York, they started recording and they did a Met HD live where you could pay $15 and they would do a live show at a theater. They would be like broadcast into your local movie theater.
Mm-hmm.
Again, contentious because like we can't have people watching in a movie theater. They need to see it at the opera house.
Right.
And now everybody who might have been on that side of like we can't, they're like, this is a lifeline. Like, thank God for saving the Metropolitan Opera, because they've been sharing these the entire time of COVID for free. So if you go to like Met Opera, you can watch free opera at the highest quality, best artists every night. I think they do it every night. Crazy. So that's one example of that. Started maybe about 10 years ago, and now it's, oh, good idea. On the other side, there have been a couple of people that are, when it comes to to come back. So you sing at home, you have to stand in a certain spot, and then the director like edits it and green screens you, and just trying to figure it out. And there's been mixed results. In a lot of cases, I'm sure at least 50% of all directors were like, I wanted to do this anyways. Now's my opportunity. Now I'm going to be able to. So that's what's going on. And it's great. Last night, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to ask, when were you equipped at the time to do it? Did you have to like scramble to put a home studio together, or were you ready for that?
For me, gosh, I know that when like I had my first Apple computer that had GarageBand,
Mm-hmm.
I dove in. And
Okay.
I made a couple recordings, and I like edited a couple things, and I did it, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. But I was singing opera, and there was no need for any of that. But I developed the skill set, or at least I got to a point where I felt comfortable using it and
Mm-hmm.
knew I could do it. And what it's been is retraining and realizing, oh my gosh, my studio, the studio that I had imagined back then would have cost me like 5,000 more or more than what I can get now, because the technology has all improved so much. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't need much. I have a really good Neumann mic. I upgraded my camera to like 4K Ultra by buying an iPad, which wasn't much. And then, one of the things about opera is they don't like you to use a track recording. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's no bueno. But there's been enough innovation, and now again is the time where they're like, yes, please use a track recording so that we can, hear what you sound like. So that's all available to us now. So it wasn't much. It wasn't much to get it all together. And even more lucky is there's a couple places around town where we can record for free right now,
Yeah.
and they're great spots, and they capture really good sound. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's where we got. That's what's going on, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And I know that I've talked about this a number of times on the program about just the high fidelity, low latency technology that's getting better and better and better by the day. At the Nats conference this year, they demoed so many of these instances where one of the ones that I paid the most attention to was a cabaret situation where you had the singer on one end and the piano player on the other. And they had this near flawless, simultaneous playing situation without any delay. So, it's a little bit more complex to jump on something like that and dial it in well enough on both ends, but it's encouraging to know that it's coming around. I mean, and quickly now, obviously, because it's,
Right, right.
oh man, yeah, yeah. Well, I
I
wanted
hear
to
you.
make sure that we talked about something that you had mentioned to me earlier, and that is talking about the national and international makeup of opera, and your thoughts on why people don't pursue it.
Uh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Let's see. good, a long answer coming, but I'm gonna try to gather my
That's
thoughts here.
okay.
Would be okay. I think I said before, there's maybe in a generous estimation. Did I say this? There's about 2 million people in opera
Hmm.
across the world, maybe. Okay, so that's the international makeup. I
Mm.
guess let me give an example. In Germany, I got to sing there for a summer. It was amazing. Every town has like some kind of opera festival, some kind of opera house. If you're hired as an opera singer, you're a government employee because it's a part of the culture, a strong understanding that arts and culture are in society are like intertwined,
Mm.
and so you get funded by the government to be there. So I met a guy named Theo Hoffman, an amazing tenor out of Germany. He told me his dad was like a lifelong chorus member for a pretty high level opera company in Germany, and that now he's retired and just collecting retirement because he was a chorus member. American, you're like, what? Like you could do that. And so but America has its strengths here too. So that's maybe the international makeup to kind of give you an idea. There's about 2 million people. Germany is a huge outlet for it. France, Italy has actually been suffering a lot since 2008
Mm.
because they were like 100% government subsidized with sprinkle a little corruption on top of that. And so since 2008, the financial crisis, like the government funding has just completely fallen out. So it's actually been a very sad thing to see
Mm.
Italy, lose its shine because that's the birthplace of opera.
Yeah.
Still, like everything's. I don't know for sure. I'm not boots on the ground, but they're still doing it, and it's still there's still the birthplace of opera, and it's still a part of their culture.
Hmm.
um, France, Germany, England, and then every country has an opera house. In the United States, we've got about like 20 major opera houses, and the best way I've heard it explained is an opera house is an international beacon of unity, inclusion, diversity. And you're kind of like, well, what do you mean by that? Because you're thinking maybe in American terms, and it's like, no, no, no. Opera sung in 4 different languages. Anybody can sing this language, no matter what you look like, no matter. And it's not just about the singer; it's about all the musicians. It's about the horn player. It's about the conductor. It's about the costume designers. It's about the set designers. It's about the union guys that are working on the side of that. We're all one big family together. And that's what every opera house stands for. Because everywhere you go, wherever you travel in the world, there's pretty much that set standard, and it's really cool to be a part of that fraternity, that brotherhood, sisterhood. And it's that I guess that's kind of one of my ideas that I like to impress upon people when it comes to opera around the
Hmm.
world. And you get it's still like it's not like you get rich or anything, but there along the way there have been things set up for you as a singer in opera, like you're part of a union. Your salaries are already negotiated. You get the fees are already set for whatever role you play. And you can kind of figure out however you want. You can create your own path within those metrics. And
Hmm.
so our unions fighting hard right now, especially. We actually have people. I get an email every day from AGMA telling me about what's going on, who's shut down, how we're fighting in Congress, and I'm like, lucky I had that. Like I didn't
Yeah.
know, I didn't know, I didn't know I had that, for a long time. So that's what that's opera across the world, and that's the international national flavor of it. I guess I can explain it right now.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love to hear that.
Hmm.
So for anyone watching this that has not had any level of exposure to opera, but they're interested in at least checking it out, where do you think is a good starting point? Obviously, they're not going to roll to an opera house right now to see a show, but what are like your top three recommendations for someone
Yep.
to at least get a taste for it?
Great question.
No, don't go away when you're answering the question.
Beacon, they bring in all Did you lose me? I didn't
I
hear what you
lost
said.
you. Okay, and you're back. Okay, so re-answer that where you were just
Oh,
about to answer me.
okay. So three examples. The first one would be Met HD, who is giving their operas for free every night. So I think if you just go Met on Demand, if you Google Met on Demand or Metropolitan
Hmm.
Opera, you'll find it. And that is, International Beacon. They bring in all the best from all over the world, and they're showing you maybe the past 10 years of what they've recorded, so you get a really good feeling of that. YouTube, you have to be more precise, but there's everything on YouTube. You have to know what you're looking for though on YouTube.
Right.
You don't just, it doesn't just like pop up for you when you put in opera.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. And then it just depends. Like, what does a person want to hear? Do they want to hear a beautiful soprano voice? Do they want to hear a tenor voice? Do they want to remember that Carmen song that
Mhm.
everybody knows, or the Figaro song? Um, I don't know. I can't really. Your ear leads you, right? Your ear leads you to what you like. And I would never force anybody to listen to opera because initially you're kind of like, what is that? Like, it's too much. The first opera I went to as a kid was Of Mice and Men by Carlson Floyd. And, in the opera world, this was a triumph. It was an English opera, an American composer. Um, I got free tickets living in San Diego because they gave all high school kids free tickets. And I went and I left at intermission. And I remember the sweet old usher lady. She like came up to me. She's like, "Are you enjoying the show?" And I was like, "Not really." And I just like walked out. Right. I feel so. I tell that story sometimes to people, and they always laugh at me because they're like, "You walked out on Carlson Floyd's of Mice and Men," and I was like, "I'm sorry," because it was a huge deal. I just didn't like it. It didn't sound good to my ear.
Yeah.
And English is a little bit harsh. I have now been in a couple operas, Dead Man Walking being one of them, based off the book by Sister Helen Prejeans, I believe last name is. And there was a movie about it. It's an American opera. To me, when I was in it, I was like, I have been a part of history because this one's going to last forever.
Hmm.
Like, this is an opera that they'll talk about.
Yeah. You're freezing again.
I'm so
There
sorry.
you are. You're back. It's
Yeah.
all good. It's all
I
good.
guess I was just saying America's taking off before COVID, America was really taking off for women composers. Um, and American composers, and we were producing a lot more operas, new operas, than any other part of the world.
Hmm.
Um, and they were really telling stories. They're kind of, some are coming towards what we know as musical theater now. And the funny thing is, 1950s musical theater is now being sung by like the great opera singers of our time.
Mm.
Well, they'll be like, Renee Fleming, please do a carousel, and she nails it all 4 nights because it's like easy for her to sing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah,
That's so cool. Well,
where to start? Yeah,
I
musical
love
theater. That would
talking to
be
you
really.
about this. I love talking to you about this, and I so appreciate you taking the time to come on tonight and just shine some light on this genre of music. And I love the 80s ballad concept, and I can't wait to hear that. So we appreciate it, and definitely, wish you the best with what plays out in 2021. I guess we shall see. And before we say goodnight to let me ask you this: where can people find your music or kind of keep up with your career? Or did I lose you completely? Okay. Oh, all right. Well, before I go, I just want to remind everybody to save the date for the Pandemic Proof Singer Summit. That's going to be happening November 16th, 17th, and 18th. And that is for singers in any capacity that are just looking for some good direction in 2021. Things are weird right now, and just the general options that we had available to us aren't necessarily going to be available, but there are some amazing, incredible, innovative things happening out there, just like Alexis and I talked about tonight. So we'll say goodbye for now. I'm so sorry Alexis isn't here completely, but I love talking with him. There you are. Before we go, tell us where people can connect with you to um, find out about your music. And you're gone again. Okay. Shoot. All right. Well, I will make sure that I have that link and I will post it in the comments. So for now, good night, everybody.